4 advisors, and being responsible for the advisement and removal of an overwhelming number of ADV holds, we had to switch to e-advising. And so for continuing students, they were advised via email. And for incoming freshmen, we ran workshops using phone conference numbers where 10 students were on a call with one advisor. The advisor would make a presentation and then advise classes. If we needed to call a student for follow-up, advisors ended up using their cell phones and blocking the numbers, hoping that the student would answer the block call. And so the relationship and the connection that we were used to was gone. When we were finally able to gain access to Zoom, without front office support, advisors spent multiple emails trying to schedule a time that was convenient for the student to be able to meet with us. So there were definitely challenges that we faced in the transition to remote, and I'm sure some of you have had similar experiences.
All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany Ford, and it is such a pleasure to be here today. I know it's Friday, so I won't be very long. I'll try to get through my few slides as quick as possible. But I do want to tell you a little bit about myself. So last March, at the start of the pandemic, I was not working with the advisement department right away. I was actually in another program at York, still seeing students, still hearing from them how difficult this transition has been on them, working with them through financial loss. You know, some of them couldn't do jobs from home. Working with some of their family members, having COVID and having to deal with the stress of health issues themselves, learning how to balance extra family time with, you know, going to classes virtually. Do they have space? Where would they find, you know, space in their homes to have these, you know, these classes that were now online, or just working to get them the devices that they needed to have the classes online. Some of them were doing it from their phones. It was really difficult hearing from the students all of the, you know, concerns and questions and problems that arose because of the pandemic. Um, it was even more difficult when I myself found myself inside of that, you know, difficult world at the end of last August. The grant program that I was in, we lost our grant. So I found myself facing some of the same issues. How was I going to do financially? You know, a few family members had COVID. I was right in the same position as what our students were telling me about. I found myself stuck right in the middle of it. It was scary. It was frightening. Um, and, you know, just trying to piece that together, like, oh my goodness, here I am dealing with the same issues. What am I going to do myself? So a few months ago, I was so honored and grateful when I had the opportunity to work back at your college again with this amazing advisement center staff. Um, I knew the team. We had worked together previously, even in the program. We shared the students together. And so being back at York, I was just like, yes, this is where I belong. I'm glad I have the opportunity to come back. I'm a graduate from York. I'm a CUNY, you know, brat. That's where I'm from, BMCC, and now York College. So it was very personal for me when these students were going through this, because I am a York alum. I am York College, and I'm a product of what they could become. And I didn't want that experience taken away from them because of the pandemic. So I really was so grateful to have this opportunity to be back. York has such a special place in my heart, you know, and the Advisement Center, being just able to work with them and be a part of that team, really once again gave me the opportunity to work with, you know, the students once again in my home school. So I just really want to quickly thank, Ms. Dawn Hewitt, Provost Brazil, of course, the Director of Advisement, Dr. Kenny Bell Pena, and all the staff, the wonderful ladies right here with me for supporting me and making me feel, that this York is still my home. And even though we're not physically together, virtually, we are such an amazing team, and you ladies are just amazing and wonderful. So I just had to say that. So at the beginning of remote working, like I said, still dealing with students, the stress was just so real for them. Our transitions, transactions with them really did become just so transitional, and the relationships became strained. My own son, was a student at York College at the time, and was in the program I was working for. And unfortunately, after finishing that semester for the spring, he didn't enroll back in the fall. It was too difficult for him. He couldn't do the online courses and the virtual and meeting, every single time. With his disabilities, it was just too much for him to take on. So, you know, now with the experience of having these Zoom relationships and things, it's great. Even though it's overwhelming sometimes, it's there for them. There's a way to connect. And I'm looking forward to having his advisors now able to reach out to him, to get him back, to get him enrolled in the school again. He's looking forward to it because it's not just, he has a device now. We were all sharing like my iPad and our cell phones. So now he has a device from the school. It's really just, it's very different. So he's looking forward to have, his advisor, and I know they'll be reaching out to him shortly, just to work back with him and get him back on track, because he does want to graduate. He does want to go on and get his academic journey on back on the right track. Okay. So the Advisement Center at York College has always utilized in our engaging with the students soft skills. Okay. During the pandemic lockdown, we noticed that the skills have become even more important as our scholars have been dealing with life issues such as job loss, financial issues, health concerns, whether it's them or their family members, and just family life, balancing kids with school and personal issues, finding time to, your puppies are happy that you're home now. They want to spend more time with you, but I have class. I can't pet you in the middle of my class. The advisors are playing a really big part in that academic journey and the success of that academic journey. Some of the advisors at York have seen an increase in their numbers, as students who usually didn't come back in the office were able to now just, oh, I can make a virtual appointment. I can see you on Zoom. It's really great. The students are able to make their own time to schedule with the advisors, right? They have EAB they're using. They just look at the schedule and, oh, yeah, I can meet them at that time. It's much easier for them. And I think at this time, it gives them a sense of control where they don't have that control in other aspects of their life. They can't come on campus. They can't just walk into your office, right? But this gives them that sense of, okay, I can control when at least I have access to my advisor, because we give them a range of appointment times for them to come and meet us virtually. With that being said, though, we do have some advisors that say that there's a decrease in appointments with students who were usually coming into the office more often. And we're not really sure why. It could be something with the, the pandemic, the way it hit, especially now. There's some domestic issues that, students can't invite you into their homes, because that's really what this virtual life has done. They've invited us into their homes. And we see as advisors that some students aren't comfortable. We get those black screens with just a name on it. We don't get to see the students' faces. They're uncomfortable turning on their cameras. Whereas before they were bright and shiny, running to our offices for everything. And so now we don't know what those personal lives are for our students that made that number decrease. Um, for some of our students, we know, and even for us, when we go to work, it's a kind of escape from our, home life, from our family pressures. Some students, especially at your college, we deal with a very large population of first generation students. And I know that a few of our students have shared with me, definitely, that, my mom just doesn't understand that I can't, make dinner right now. I'm in class or I'm studying. And, her mom's like, why do you have to be on, the computer all the time? They really don't get that, the workload, how much it is, how much virtual screen time the student is taking. And it's not just for class, it's for studying, or it's for group work, or just group studying. So we the soft skills that we represent to the student, we don't just demonstrate to the scholar, just to say, oh, this is a part of our job description. We're actually demonstrating for them skills that they can adopt for themselves. This is life skills, right? This is what, jobs are looking for. So we're really representing to the student life skills, and wanting them to mirror what we're giving them in their everyday lives. So taking it back into their homes, engaging with their parents more. Like, hey, you can sit here and listen into my class. This is why I'm studying at 11:30 at night, when you're like, you need sleep, mom. I have to study. Or doing some of their homework examples with their little brothers and sisters. Like, you're always on. You don't spend time with me, even though they're home. It's really just kind of opening them up, having them utilize these skills themselves, um, as they bring this understanding into their home, and trying to make sure that they can ease some of those unknown factors to their parents, who have never dealt with, you know the college experience. And this is a totally different type of college experience, but first generation parents still have to have that understanding, and we still have to be sensitive to that. So I think that when we mirror these soft skills to our scholars, they're taking it, they're absorbing it, and they're actually learning how to utilize them in their everyday lives. So again, just realizing that how strenuous, this virtual life, this quick, abrupt change from coming into the college to now having everything virtually, has been on our scholars, and just trying to bring back into the advising relationship some of this understanding, some of these skills, these soft skills of, listening intently to the students, and really getting out from them what it is that they need from us. Some of our scholars, last year came straight out of high school. They did not sign up to be completely online. They wanted that college experience where they were going to meet new friends and peers, and go into the Career Services Center, and be able to just really have that college experience, that college life. And that was totally disrupted, and it was so hard for them. One student even shared with me how she never stepped foot inside of York. She was so excited. She missed the experience to have a tour, and she was like, oh, I can go right before school starts. And then the pandemic hit, and then she graduated in May, and September had to start school. She had never been inside of York College. So during our advisement session, I kind of have some backgrounds of just like different areas inside of York College. So what I did, I just kept changing my background scenery, and showing her like, oh, this is the career center, oh, this is the library, this is outside of York, this is your academic advisement center, this is what we look like. And she was just so happy with that encounter, and just getting to know her college. And I also let her know, go on the virtual tour. It's not the same, but it's something, it's a connection. And I think that's really what the advisement relationship is. It's a connection. um, you don't just talk about what classes to take. You don't just talk about, okay, well, you finished math 104, you need to go on to math 10, 111, or whatever it is, the sciences. You don't just go to the next one. The session really talks to the student. It really helps you listen to what the student is. The student has the opportunity to share what's going on. Some students share that they don't know how to balance that school and home life. Some students talk about the stress that they have encountered during this time. And so that's our opportunity to remind them of the resources that even virtually our school has to offer them. We tell them about the pantry, which is new over the last few years at York. And I know like some of my colleagues, we've all donated, right? So we have a pantry inside the building now, and we've been providing for students food bags. You know, they can come up, they can make um, they let the school know that they need a bag of food. They come up, they pick up their bag. It's appointment based for safety, but it's there for them. It's a resource. We tell them about the athletics department. They offer yoga. So, these are things they want us to share in our sessions. So yoga is virtual. They said they get a great turnout. Students want to know, they help focus them, body, mind, and soul. They're for that. It's just a break from their classes. And some students, they are overwhelmed, and sometimes they won't share everything with us. So our counseling department, who we work closely with also, has started peer-to-peer talks. And that's when the students talk with each other. They find peer mentors, they talk with each other, they tell them, this is a safe space for them to share how they've been doing and how they've been going along through this pandemic. So we really have a lot of resources that in our sessions we share with the students. It's not all about the academics because all of these things affect their academic journey. So we have to be mindful of that. No matter what resource we have, the advisement center is so much more than just transactional. It's so much more than just come and get your hold removed, as Tamika was saying. It's so much more than that. We really take the whole student, and we have to um, build on that student and see and meeting them right where they are. Our session becomes an opportunity for that relationship building, and it starts between the scholar and the advisor, but then it transcends a relationship from that, and it becomes the scholar and the college, and that relationship creates retention. And that's what we really need, because retention, was dropping with this pandemic. Some students, like I said, my own son had to, leave. And I really want to say that, to all the advisors here, this advising relationship really is the foundation of retention. It really is the foundation of the student's academic journey. So thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Hi, my name is Maria Jean. I am a somewhat recent graduate from York, class of 2018. And then as soon as I graduated, I studied with the Advisement Center. Just to piggyback of what Tiffany just shared with us, we have to keep in mind as advisors, we are not only the ones providing academic services, but we are friends. We can be sometimes put into the spot of being a semi-counselor, although we do not have um, all the um, all the licensing that the actual counselors within the counseling center do have. But sometimes the students feel very comfortable just to talk to us. And with confidentiality, we work in partnered with other offices, especially with the counseling center, to provide those extra services. So we are shepherds, we are friends. We can sometimes become a mental doctor or a psychological doctor per se. And to make this experience very accessible, or making ourselves accessible to students, we have this new now, which is leveraging technology to allow more time for meaningful advising interactions. Leveraging technology means that we are using EAB Navigate, we are using Schedule Builder, and we are also providing additional trainings and other recorded tutorial videos for the advisors, for faculty members to know where are the other resources that are out there. within the school or maybe perhaps in connection with something outside of the school. So with EAB Navigate, which I'm sure some of you have heard our from yesterday, that other colleges within CUNY are using the EAB Navigate. But with us at your college, we started using EAB just recently um, to help make appointments, creating campaigns, doing workshops, which is what we are using for the freshman workshops now, instead of the earlier transaction within the in the beginning of the pandemic, where advisors were actually calling students, giving them a conference number to call, and emailing ahead of time some of the course recommendations and who to contact for financial aid, setting up their email address. This was the back end work that we were doing. But now with Navigate, EAB Navigate, those emails are sent out, the notifications are sent out to the students for campaigns, any kind of appointments that need to be made. And the students are also um, able to see our availability. So we're not exchanging so many emails to let them know, hey, I'm available then, or can we meet at 9 a.m.? No, I have an appointment at that time. This conversation is no longer there because they have everything accessible. And you let them know with among ourselves, we let our students know that we have an open virtual door policy, that they can come to us, even if you have already met with us before for advisement purpose. If you have additional follow-up that you want to do, maybe you thought you were passing this class uh, um, and you're not passing that class, instead of getting that failing grade, maybe you need to talk to us to figure out if you could drop the class, or maybe reach out to the professor. What language can you use to reach out to the professor, really, to make sure that the professor is receiving what you are saying and working with you? So through EAB Navigate, we are able to record our appointments, send reminders, allowing students to meet with us and come to us anytime that they want. And they can even send us a text message using the that text message is sent, of course, to our York email, but they can send us text messages to make it easier for them using the EAB Navigate app. Also, with Schedule Builder, trying to make everything somewhat centralized, where we don't have too many places that we are recording notes, that we are recommending classes and copying and pasting, and not having too much of that. So Schedule Builder is synced with DegreeWorks, making it easier for the students to read their degree works, to schedule for classes, that they do not have to open another tab to go to their degree works. The plans that we have created are reading on Schedule Builders, and the students can actually create that schedule that they want to have, really. And with Schedule Builder, it helps us as a college community, especially with the Office of Enrollment Management, making sure that we see what are the needed courses. What are some of the courses that are closing too fast? Do we need to open another session, the sections of English 125 maybe? Which course really has low enrollment in them, and that maybe we could cut from some of those sessions that are open, and allowing us to creating other openings in other areas or subjects that are very much needed that the students are asking. Also within Schedule Builder, the advisors can lock classes, especially for students who are interested in in any of our limited enrollment programs, such as nursing, occupational therapy, CLS, which is clinical laboratory science, teacher education, public health. We can make sure that those classes, when the students log into their Schedule Builder via CUNY First, they see exactly those are the X, Y, and Z courses that you must definitely work your schedule around if you truly are interested in that particular program that we talked about. The toolkits also that are created on Blackboard by our technology specialists, to make sure that after faculty members and advisors have been trained, including students, that they have a point of reference, a point of reference to see and to refresh their minds on how to use the other tools that are there, such as if a student forgets about how to use Navigate, it's there. If a student forgets about how to read their degree works, it's right there. A faculty advisor needs to remember how to create a proper plan, not copying and paste the notes, the advising notes that are shared with the students, but creating the actual plan, because degree schedule builder can see only the plan and not really the notes. So those tools are there. And throughout the semester, faculty advisors as well as academic advisors, they have they have access to actually letting us know what is still needed, what kind of training do we need to provide to make sure that they are well supported, that once the advisement center see undergraduate student, once that student is declared and transitioning into that major department, they have a smooth transition. And also the informations that are being shared, it's in unison. So as Tamika mentioned earlier, we had 4 advisors in the beginning of prior to COVID. In the very start of COVID, it's just now that we have started growing in numbers. Currently, we have 10 academic advisors in our department and 1 technology specialist. And within that small group, although we are still growing, we have different sections. Each person is, or a group of people or a pair of people are actually sectionalized into their specialties, such as we have 2 advisors who are assigned to the first year scholars, 2 advisors for sophomore year, scholarship specialist who is overseeing the Excelsior and the Dream recipients. We have a readmit advisor, which we didn't have earlier because we were all pretty much doing the seeing anyone who came, and we actually were trained properly for that. But now that we have those specialized groups, it makes it easier for the students to know who is their assigned advisor, who is that friend that they have in college, to help them and help them navigate, and they don't have to keep on repeating themselves. If somebody saw Tiffany last semester and previously prior to this setup, to this setting, if somebody saw Tiffany in the previous semester and now they are seeing me, sometimes the conversations may be redundant because we didn't meet with you before. So we still have to make sure that we are asking all the proper questions to have that conversation, that dialogue, to know how we can best assist you. We also have the enrichment slash at-risk population, which are the students who fall under the 2.0, 2.3 GPA bracket. And we have the probation specialized group, which now resides within the counseling center, because the counseling center can provide not only the emotional support, and but also making sure that emotionally, if Maria Jean is at this place right now, maybe postponing biology to the spring semester is better, as she's working on her personal life and making sure that everything is is progressing. She's taking classes and making sure that also the GPA is increasing, and not necessarily because I'm interested in OT. Let's just say that because I'm interested in OT, I am pushed into Bio 201, which is our general biology, for example. But at where you are at as emotionally and the whole 360 angles, we are meeting you that way. We have our specialized group who are making sure that you are being met, your needs are being met, you are being heard, and um, you are being supported. Our technology specialist is our degree works master scriber. She's also our navigate admin and advising training. How are caseloads management monitored? So as I mentioned earlier, each of the specialized group are assigned 2 advisors. And within those two, within that this peer, each one of those advisors are assigned a specific number of students, just to make sure that it's not all over the place. The student still knows that if Tamika Hudson is not here to advise her for as the at-risk advisor, Maria Jean is there too because she's paired with her to advise her. But the primary advisor who is assigned to that particular student is Tamika Hudson. So it creates that healthy circle that our opening presenter was sharing with us earlier, making sure that we have the support if we feel overwhelmed, etc. That we are sharing the what is working and what's not working, because what I may be thinking of sharing with my students or doing outreach with a student, maybe Tamika is not thinking about those things for now. It has escaped her. Creating that open dialogue to make sure that everything is running smoothly and everybody is supported, both students and colleagues. Um, as I mentioned earlier, our Outlook calendars are synced to our EAB, and the students can actually see our availability. So there's no conflict of time. They can cancel on their own. They can leave a note. For instance, students that have met with us already for advisement, but they still want to meet with us again. Um, they can leave a note and say, hey, I was already advised by you, but I just want to see you because I need to discuss a trouble that I'm having in one of those classes. Or recently, for example, I had a student who told me, I know we have been advised, but I think I'm taking next semester off and I don't know when I'm returning. So I had encouraged that student, for example, to still create the advisement appointment with me so we can discuss a plan of action as she is living, and also what should she do as she's figuring out the major, figuring out life, and the plan of action of returning back. um, Outlook, the Navigate, EAB Navigate, and our sync calendar allow students to really have that report and accessibility. Currently, we do not have any data pretty much because we just started. Literally EAB and EAB, CUNY First, all of those centralized new features and networks or platforms that we are using have been rolled out mostly for the fall, for the spring into the fall semester. So as we move along, this is a work in progress. We are learning, we are improving, and hopefully we can come back again to let you know how the areas that we have improved, the areas that were very, very helpful based on the feedbacks from the students and our data work. And now the floor is open for questions.
So, okay, so I'll read out some of the questions and you ladies can take over with answering. I know that our director, Dr. Kenny Bell, has been answering some of the questions. Thank you so much in the chat box. So grateful for that. So one of the questions that weren't answered is from Dion. How many undergraduate students do you serve?
So I believe we serve over 2,500 students. In terms of caseloads, those numbers are still developing. Some advisors have a higher caseload than others. So for example, the at-risk advisors, that caseload is lower so that those students can be better served. The freshman advisors and the first year scholar advisors and the sophomore that have a higher number than the at risk, but the numbers are still, because this structure is new for us. The division of the caseloads is still a work in progress. It's still being developed.
Any other questions? I'm checking. Okay.
You guys can feel free also to unmute yourself if it makes it easier to just ask the question. That's at him.
Do you know where we can access training on Schedule Builder? That's something I definitely want to be able to implement more with my students.
Would you mind repeating yourself again? Sorry.
I was asking, do you know where we can access like training materials through CUNY for Schedule Builder? It's something I want to be able to use more with my students.
I believe we have a link. Yes. Jennifer Chen has just posted the link for you.
Thank you so much.
So we have a question from Sabrina. How do you serve continuing students as well, those who are not first and second year?
So for students who are not at risk, within that at risk or probation population, faculty, if they're declared majors, they are served, the faculty advisor is the one that would see them. We're there for support when faculty, for example, may not be available, but those declared majors are seen by faculty. The undeclared students, well, students have to be declared by the 60th credit, of course, but any undeclared student or a student who may be transitioning as maybe a new transfer, someone from the advisement center would see them.
Right, and they would fall into whichever category, whether it was first year scholars or sophomore scholars, depending on where they fall into the track. How many advisors in total?
10 within our academic advisement center, we have 10 full-on advisors and one technology specialist. The terminology is not coming to my right now fully, but it's 10 advisors, 10 academic advisors.
Okay, this one is from Karina. I am familiar with all advisors seeing a mixed population of students on their caseload, which is how we were doing it. Do you feel your layout of dividing the students by population is helpful?
I actually enjoy it better from what I've been experiencing so far. It just allows me to understand what group I'm working with, what resources I should be maybe talking about or introducing them to, the type of questions and conversations that we should be having. And also, the opportunity for me is there more to develop a relationship where I get to see the same student again. But because before that's not what we had. It was whoever came, that's who you pretty much saw.
And it also helps create an accountability. Personally, with my students, I work with them to create a GPA goal, a goal for the summer. What should be the plan for the summer? What are you comfortable doing during the summer? Maybe looking for internships. Since you say you are interested in X, Y, and Z, maybe you should start looking online for internship. As you are looking online for internships or different job positions that are out there, what is the expected goal that I should keep you accountable to next time I meet with you? And do you feel like this is feasible? So it's not me throwing a number at you, but you are actually involved in that conversation. So it makes it more like like Tamika says, when you meet with that person again, it keeps the conversation going. It's not a start all over again.
Exactly. So we are running down, and I know you guys want to get back to the main meeting room, so we'll do two more. Does your department have specific advisors to help students with grad school applications and employment?
Not specifically. I mean, I've worked with students in sessions myself, but I would say no, not specifically. We
do
don't, not yet.
refer them to the Career Services Department that could help with as far as career goals and career setting. And I know they have different programs that helps the student kind of, measure where they are.
So for medical school, we have Dr. Chris within the biology department who oversees the pre-med per se population. So I know there's the start of conversation and expectance. What should the student expect for graduate school? Possibly programs that are out there to help them prepare for the MCAT exam. We have the pre-law coordinator, Dr. Harper, I believe.
Yes.
She also started the conversation, but not necessarily seeing every details of the admission process or the application process like the high school students are aware of. But we're working on that.
Okay, so I think that was our time. Melanie, you can let us know. I think we did pretty well and hit it.
You all actually did very well. You still have 2 minutes, and Mildred has a question, so maybe we can throw it out there.
Okay, let me just see. Okay, all right, so is there a specialized group of advisors for undecided majors? If so, has it helped students declare a major sooner?
Well, the function of the advisement center is that's our group. So those undeclared students pretty much fall to all of us because the declared students would be with their department. And so I think we all probably have developed our own way of kind of helping the student and having that conversation to get them to a place where they're ready to declare.
So at this time, I just want to say thank you to everyone for choosing our presentation to come to and to hear us speak. I really just, for me, this is my first time presenting, and I really just know that we're all having, the same type of issues with our students or same concerns. And we, the advisors are really are, for me, 100% of the foundation for the students who, and we just really want to be there for support and for resources and to help them with their academic journeys.
I want to quickly give a shout out to Miss Mayers Handsome. She was my SEEK advisor when I was a student, and until this day, because of she has taught me a lot, and I didn't know I was going to become an advisor. So with how she helped me and how I saw her handling her caseload within the SEEK department, it set up the blueprint for me on how to be passionate, compassionate, and empathize. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. You all did great. Thank you for your presentation. And again, thank you to all for joining us today. Have a wonderful weekend, and you can now transition over back to the main room.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.